On the chart guide, which ones do we want to see, do, go over, have questions about? Any others? We have 1, 2, and 4. Let's see those. For number 1, this is an evaluating problem. It says f of 3. So that's your x value. You're going to put that in every time you see x. Guys in the back, please stop talking. Noah, please stop talking. Put 3 every time you see an x. And then simplify. So, this should have been f of 3 equals 7. Would have been your final answer for that one. Yeah. Always keep going. Simplify it all the way through until you can't anymore. Questions on that one? Two. Is this relation a function? You're looking for repeating x's that go to 2 different y values. So this is not a function because this goes to 2 different y values. If it went to the same y value, like they were both 4s or both negative 1s, then it would be fine. But they can't go to 2 different y values. Questions on that one? And then number 4, what is this equation if it's shifted down 3? So I would say find the equation of this line first. The y-intercept is at 4. The slope looks like it's down to right 3. So if it's shifted down 3, the y-intercept is going to change. But the slope is going to stay the same. So that should be the equation of that line. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1. So from your original y-intercept, you just go down 3. Other questions on that one? I need every single person in this room to look at your calendar. Off your phone, look at your calendar. And I want you to tell me what you see. Paige, look at your calendar. Colin, look at your calendar. What do you notice? Okay. Okay, does say that. Anything else that stands out? 6-2. So there's only one actual Khan Academy quiz date on there. That's important.
I only see 1 unit test.
There's 1 unit test. There are 2 units on there, but 1 unit test. On the back are final exam dates. So those are important. Does the content that we're doing look familiar? Solving multi-step equations, have we done that before? Intercepts, have we done that before? Parallel perpendicular lines, factoring, compound inequalities. Unit 9 is a review unit. So how that's going to work is we're going to quiz and test like we normally would. It's going to be a grade in marking period 4 because that's the marking period we're in. But it's also going to go back and replace whatever grade in marking period 1, 2, or 3. So this is your chance to improve your grade from whatever it was to whatever you want it to be, do better this time around, like a second retake, if you will, on these. So what will get replaced are the following. You can go back and redo the Khan Academy quizzes that were originally assigned for these objectives only and email me. Do them for the first time, redo them to get better scores and email me and I'll update those grades. The quiz that we do will go back and replace those quiz grades. The test that we do will go back and replace those test grades. So you have a chance to really improve your grade if you pay attention and do better than you did before, right? It is going in marking period 4, so you have a chance to retest it for marking period 4, but it only replaces in marking period 4, not back again. What questions do we have on that? So you'll see Unit 10 on there also, but you don't see a Unit 10 test. We are not taking a Unit 10 test. We won't have time. So Unit 9 will be the last test we take besides the final. Unit 10 will be tested on the final, but not an actual test in class. Right? Questions on any of that? So if we pay attention, we do well in Unit 9, I'll go back and replace your grades. Your grade will improve, and all of your grades. Right? So we're going to start this before lunch and then finish after lunch. So everyone should have these notes in front of you. They are the exact same notes from the beginning of the year. So if you didn't do well on the first objective, you should really be paying attention. That way you can improve your grade. So I shouldn't see people on phones. Colin, Matt, Paige. Right. If I asked you what is the solution, what would you tell me? Sid? Okay, I'm going to pull this up and then I'm going to write that. One second, those. Try it again. So solution is the answer to a problem. And then if we found a solution, let's say in number 1, we said x equals 5 is our solution. How could we check to see this is our actual solution and we didn't just solve this incorrectly? How could I know for certain that this is our answer? What could I do? Just put it back in. So we would put that 5 back in for x. And see, does this make a true statement or not? Go ahead and multiply 13 and 5 and tell me what you get. Unless you got 100 on this section, and even then, because you have to still take it again, no one should be on their phones. What's 13 times 5? 65. 65 minus 7. 58. So we can say this is a true statement. 58 equals 58. That was the solution. Whoever solved this problem got that answer right. As a reminder, you can always double check your work, double check your answer, put it back in, see does it work, make sure you solved it correctly. Questions on that? We're going to skip around. After you have that written, skip a couple pages until you get to this one. And then what does it mean to solve an equation? More like how would I solve an equation in general? What would I do? You had some equation in front of you. What would you do? Okay. Possibility that counting might help you. Something. How would I solve? What do we do to solve for something? Adding, multiplication, subtracting, division. Using our inverse operations. So use the inverse operations. To find our answer. Then there are different operations here. Which ones are inverses or opposites of each other? Which ones undo each other? Awesome. Square and square root. So those are things to remind yourself. Those are your inverse operations. Those are what undo each other. On this page, look at the questions. Which ones do we want to see, do, go over, review? Colin.
3.
3. Any others? Were there any others we wanted to see, do, go over, review on this page?
6.
6. 10. Any others? Did we go over those? You said 3, 6, 10. 7. Okay. So let's start with 3. We have to get P by itself. What would you suggest we do first? How would we get P by itself? We do that. We have 2/3 P equals 140. Now we gotta get rid of this 2/3. How would we do that? Multiply it by what? What do you think? Okay, we could do that. So there are multiple ways to do this. We can multiply both sides by 3. The 3's here we cancel out. What would this be? And then to get P by itself, so that P equals 2. There were other ways you could have done that, but if that way makes sense, go with that. Questions on that one? Stop there and continue 6 when we get back to lunch. There are 2 ways to go about doing it. 1, dealing with the fractions. 2, getting rid of the fractions. Which would you rather? Deal with them, get rid of them.
Get rid of them.
Okay. So we get rid of the fractions. We have to multiply this entire thing by something that both of these go into? What is the number that 3 and 2 both go into? 6. So when we do that, we're basically distributing the 6 to just the numerators and the 7. So this becomes 12x over 3 plus 6x over 2 equals 42. Now, it's still a fraction right now, but it'll change in the second column. In order to get rid of the fractions, you have to multiply the entire thing by something that these both go into, 3 and 2. And so it says 6. 6 is not the only thing that would work. 12, 18, 24, all of those would work. 6 is the lowest that would work though. Here we can simplify. 12 divided by 3 is what? 4. 6 divided by 2 is what? 3. So 6. But now we no longer have fractions. What would be our next step? Add 4 and 3. Page, make sure you're writing this down. Matt, make sure you're writing this down. And divide. So x equals what? Questions on that? Number 7. What would be our first step? Okay, what are the like terms? So negative 4 minus 3 would be what? Negative 7x. And then negative 7 plus 4. Negative 3. And then we're going to solve like normal, so what would be our next step? Add 3 to both sides. And divide. X equals negative. Do you have any questions on that one? Last one, number 10. You have to get k by itself, but we got to get rid of the denominator first. How do we do that? Multiply both sides by 9. The 9 would cancel. And then I have not done this. I have not put any of the answers back in, but you should, especially when you're not sure about the answers, go back, double check your answer, make sure it works. Do we have any other questions we want to see, go over, do on this page? If not, I want you to find this page. and find any questions you want to see, do, go over, review. Four.
Three.
Okay.
6.
6. Okay. 6. Four on this one. Oh. We'll talk about it. Any others on this page? Alright, let's start with 3. We have variables on both sides. So your goal is to get the same variable, all the variables on one side and all the constants to the other. So how would I get this over? So this would give us negative 2c. And then we could divide. Divide that, and what you get? Not 14, but
1 point.
the decimal.
Wait.
Oh, that's it.
So negative 1.4.
Oh,
Yeah.
Questions on that one? With number 4, we have a fraction equals another fraction. What is the first step? Something specific we have to do in order to get it out of that format. You will distribute, but not first. Alright. You take this numerator, multiply it to this denominator, and take this numerator and multiply it to this denominator. So then we can rewrite that. 9 times, or in parentheses, 5x plus 5. And 3 times 9x minus 3. Does not matter if what's in blue is on the right or on the left. Then what would be our next step? Have 45x plus 45 and 27x minus 9. Then your goal comes back into place. You're trying to get all the variables on one side, everything that's not a variable on the other. But you have choices as to what you want to do first. What do we want to move first? The 27x, okay. So move it by doing what? Subtraction. And if you didn't want to move 27, then you move something else, that's fine. At the same time, since we are moving the x's to the left, I can get rid of the 45 by subtracting it to the right. What would 45 minus 27 give us? 18. And then if we divide both sides by 18, x equals negative. What questions do we have on that one? Anytime we have a fraction equals a fraction, we're always going to start off by cross multiplying. So what would be our first step in 6? Cross multiplying. It just looks different, but the process is the same. So 8 times n plus 8 equals 7 times n plus 8. Distribute. So 8n plus 64 equals 7n plus 70. And then what do we want to move first? Okay. So 7n by subtracting. And then we can move the 64 also by subtracting to the other side. What would be left? 6. 1n equals 6, or does n equal 6? Don't have to put the 1, you can. Either way, that is your final answer. You have any questions on that? Last one, 8. What would be our first step? Distribute the negative 7. So remember to bring that negative with it. We have negative 16 minus 14a minus 21 equals 23 minus 2a. Then what? Combine them. So negative 16 minus 21, what would that be? Then you have choices. What do we want to move first? Okay. So move it by doing what? Adding 2a to both sides. And then doing the opposite, adding 37 to the other side. We have how many a's? Negative 12. And 23 plus 37. 60. And when we divide, a would equal what? What questions do we have on that? Are there any other questions on this page we want to see do go over review? If not, go on to the next page. We'll do 1 and 2, and then any others you guys want to do, and then you'll have time to practice. What's our first step in number 1? Distribute. 3 to everything there. 5x plus 5 equals 15 minus 12. Sorry, 15x minus 12 minus 10x. And then what? What would be our next step? What are the like terms? So like terms on the same side, and not add in this case, but subtract. So 5x plus 5 equals 5x minus 12. Do exactly what it says. And then what would our next step be? We can do that. So add 12 over here. We have 5x plus 17 equals 5x. We still have to get 5x over. So we have to subtract it. But what would happen when we do that? 0. The 17 equals 0. Is that a true statement? Can I replace 17 with 0 whenever I want? No. It's not a true statement. It's false. So what type of solution is this? No solution. So when you're solving and your variables cancel, they become 0, and you have two different numbers. That's your no solution case. What questions do we have on that? Ron?
Should 0 be the answer? Or is that still
It would just be no solution regardless. Basically, no number ever would ever work for this. So there's nothing we could put. Right. What would be our first step in number 2? Distribute the 3 to everything. So 6b minus 3 minus 7 equals 6b minus 10. Our next step. So combine these two like terms, negative 3, negative 7, what would that give us? Negative 10. And then what do we want to make our next step? Okay. If we add 10 to both sides, what happens? Both become 0.
So that's what you're
Yes. But also, we still have to get all of these on the same side. It's already a true statement, but we have to make it more of a true statement. Get either this on this side or this on this side as a factor. So now it's a for certain true statement, 0 equals 0. So what type of solution would this be? It's on your paper. Right, so if your variables cancel and you have the same number on both sides, that's infinite many. Or when you're solving and you see that this is the exact same on both sides, you can stop there and say infinitely many. Or on this one, if you're solving and you get the same 5x with two different numbers, you can stop there and say no solution. Questions on either of those? Are there any others on this page we want to see, do, go over, review? Brian.
So if the equations are the same on both sides, it would be infinite.
Correct.
Okay.
Just if it's the same on both sides and there's only two things, like a constant term and a variable term. Just those two things. Any other questions? I'm going to give you options. options on what you can be working on for the remainder of class. 1, go back and practice anything in this to review solving multi-step equations, make sure you're good with it. 2, go back and redo or do for the first time the Khan Academy associated with this that was due back in September. The names are on the board. If you were ever missing those, you can go back and do them. Send me an email if you redo or do them so I can update those grades. Go back and redo or do the Khan Academy from the last week or two from Unit 8. Or if you need to finish your test and want to use this time, you could be doing that. So come see me to get your test. Okay. Do we have any questions on what we're doing for the remainder of class? Right.
Can we finish our test?
Yeah. Use this time wisely. Be working on one of those things. Make up Khan Academy, especially if you're missing it, that we can update